Have you ever experienced a low point while living abroad? Maybe you experienced some ebbs and flows where you're like, the honeymoon is over, I'm tired, and now I don't even like being here. Well, guess what? You're not the only one. Today, I am going to be talking to you about some of the things that you can do to help shift your experiences while living abroad and how you can cope with some of the ebbs and flows. So let's get started. Hello, hello, hello. I'm Cha Jones, and welcome to my channel. I am an intercultural consultant, and I work with a lot of expats. I am also an expat living in Malaysia, and I am a coach, and I work with individuals who want to create a softer life. So, today I wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I have personally experienced while living abroad. Because guess what? The honeymoon ends and real life begins when you settle into a place. Oftentimes, around that 90-day mark, and you're like, okay, I'm tired of being a tourist. And now I have to actually live here. And so it's not the greatest time because you are making some adjustments and it doesn't always feel great. Plus, you may be experiencing culture shock. Just depends on where you are in your journey. So, I wanted to talk about some of the things that I've experienced, and then I have had clients that have experienced some of these different things and some of the things that you can do to combat um, those low moments. Because let's just be honest, it's not always a cakewalk. And there are moments where you're living, like for instance, I'm living 12 hours 12 to 15-hour time difference from the people I love. And it can be very challenging to communicate because when it's morning for me, it's night for them. And when it's night for them, it's morning for me. And so I want to just talk about those things. So, number one, let's just talk about the fact that this is a relationship, right? And just like in real relationships, you have a honeymoon phase. You have that phase where you're super excited about why you actually did what it is that you are doing. So if it is a relationship where you met somebody and you're like, "Oh, I love everything about them. They're so amazing." And you can just like write a whole book about how much you really love and enjoy this person. And then about between 3 to 6 months, you're like, baby, let me just go ahead and be real about this. This person does this, and this, right? And it annoys me. And it comes a point in the relationship where you have to realize, okay, I actually can live with some of the things that you do, and I want to move forward and continue the relationship and continue to learn something new about you over time. Or, you know what, this is not going to work out for me because you're not the person I thought you were. And I met your representative, and now that I'm meeting the real you, I'm not that interested. And that's the same thing about when you move abroad or you have experiences that you, at the beginning of it, you are all in. You are super excited. You are Chester cheese grinning. And oh my God, I love this. I love that. I love, you know, meeting new people. I love eating new food. I love going to these excursions. And then about that 3 to 6 months it sets in that, okay, I live here. I'm not a tourist. I don't want to go to all the touristy spots. I don't want to eat all of the random foods anymore. I like them, But at the same time, I'm kind of over certain things, and you get accustomed to doing certain things, and you're like, okay, I'm tired. I don't want to do that anymore. Or you start to feel sad and start missing where you came from, missing all the nostalgia moments that you've had with family members and friends, and maybe holidays are coming up and you're super sad about the fact that you're going to miss time with individuals that you care about. All of that is real, and all of that happens. But guess what? I have some tips, I have some tricks, I have some suggestions that I would like to offer you, because it can get complicated, and at some point you may not feel the same way that you felt about a place. So one of the things that I offer you is, like in any relationship, you have to continuously work on the relationship. And so there are times where you're like, I don't want to be here. I'm sad. I want to go home, or I want to do something different. Be curious. Keep your curiosity. You have not done everything that you could possibly do in that place. And so you don't have to be a tourist. You don't have to like go bungee jumping every weekend. That's not realistic. But you haven't been every place. If you live in a country, I live in Malaysia. I live in Kuala Lumpur. So I'm in one of the biggest states. However, there are other states. There are places that I have not yet been. And so be open to the possibilities and be curious about where you can go, or other places that you can go and experience different things. So that's the first thing I would say, is that, and just like in any relationship, you have to keep the spark going if you're going to keep the relationship going, because otherwise things die down and then you want to abandon ship, and we don't want you to do that, right? So give yourself permission to stay curious about a place, about things that you could possibly do. Make a list of the things that you've already done, and then make a list of the things that you could do, and places that you could go, because there are plenty of things that you have not yet done that you can spark an interest in. So that's number one. Number two, um, I think it's extremely important for you to be honest about how you feel, right? Your feelings are important, and there are going to be ebbs and flows. There are going to be moments where you're up, there's moments when you're down, but be honest about how you're feeling. If you're sad, feel that. Don't push that away. Don't try to eat it away, drink it away, be with people just so that you don't feel that. Feel it. That feeling is real. Don't stay there, but acknowledge that you are there, right? If you're sad, if you're feeling depressed, if you feel homesick, whatever the feeling is, acknowledge it, right? That's the key, is to acknowledge it. But then also realize, okay, you can't stay in that place. And if you're sad, why are you sad? What are the things that are making you sad? Acknowledge this. Journal, write things down, get acquainted with your feelings, and then find a way that will help you move past that. Journaling, meditation, yoga, working out, whatever. But first, acknowledge those feelings, because that's extremely important. Also, be aware that culture shock is real. That again, you are having ebbs and flows, and there are things that are shifting, and you have to acknowledge that there is a shift. So you will be homesick. You'll be homesick. There are going to be times that you feel helpless. Maybe you are in a place where the language barrier is extreme and it's difficult to speak the language. It's difficult to get accustomed to the food. It's difficult to try to build relationships cross culture, right? Acknowledge those things, be aware of those, figure out a way that you can deal with those things. But there are going to be moments where you feel hopeless and helpless. There are going to be moments that you feel isolated, like, especially if you're in a place where there aren't many expats or the language barrier is extreme. So acknowledge the fact that you feel isolated, but also come up with a plan. If you're feeling isolated, maybe, and I'll talk about this later, but schedule time with your family. Um, Try to connect with somebody that you have synergy with at work or in your building or, at the park or working out, what have you. Depression is real. We talked a little bit about that, but depression is real. And if you are starting to feel like you're not yourself, find somebody to talk to. That is important. You do not have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulder. And if you are sad to the point where you need help, ask for it because nobody can read your mind and everybody is not going to know and pick up that you are sad and depressed. So find someone that you can talk to, whether it be at work, whether it be socially, whether it be a part of your network group, or if it's your family and friends at home. Tell them how you're feeling. This is not a time for you to do everything and be everything to everybody. This is a time where you need to seek assistance. Okay. So the other thing is that these are some tips that I just suggest that you try to do just to make life easier because you may be on a year assignment, you may be on a 2 year or 3 year assignment. So you have committed to doing a work for a set amount of time. And the expectation is that you are going to show up. But again, you are not all things to everyone. And just because you are not in the same place that you would be at home, you have to just be real about your needs, wants, and your desires. So, one of the things that I would suggest that you try to do to kind of get yourself out of the isolation periods, or when you find that you are starting to go through some of these cycles, that you have support. Get involved, join an association, join an expat group, get online. So you may not have a lot of expats where you live, but you could get online, join organizations, um, get in groups that are online. And then if you can find something that you can do that is in the city that you're in or a state that you're in that you can actually socialize in person, great. Do those things. But get out of your own way and get out into the streets and meet people or online. Reach out and get to know others. So same thing. You want to network, you want to meet people, especially at work. Converse with the people that are at work and build relationships because no man is an island. And again, you can't do everything by yourself. Another thing that's important, I mentioned it earlier, is set up a time that you can meet and connect with your friends and family at home. If you're 12, 13, 14, 15 hours ahead, then set up a time on the weekend, set up time on evening or in the morning that you can check in, say hi, call your mom, call your dad, call your family members, friends, you know, find out what's going on. Sometimes that's going to make you sad because it's like, oh man, I'm missing another experience. And life goes on for those people, life goes on for you. But it's great to be able to connect and at least have a connection to the people that you love and that you want to stay in your life because it's hard to build relationships when you're living abroad, but more importantly, it's hard to also maintain unless you are actively trying to maintain those relationships. So it's important if those people are important to you, make sure that they're important in your scheduling of time as well. Also, be aware. Be aware of your feelings, be aware of other people's feelings. Like, just be aware because things are changing rapidly. And it's important that you have an awareness of what is changing, how things are changing, and why things are changing. And this is also goes back to um, how being real about your own feelings. If you are constantly being aware of, like, I'm kind of feeling sad now, and I need to acknowledge that this is a time to do that. When you are aware of your feelings, then you can address how you're feeling and then be proactive about creating a plan for whatever it is that you are feeling. It's also important that you are aware of your surroundings and how things are happening, whether it be abroad, where you're with your family and being aware of what's going on there, but also being aware of your own surroundings and some of the things that are culturally happening where you currently are. Be open to learning new things. Look, you are in a new environment. Don't just be stuck on doing things as usual. The things that you did at home, let those be the things you did at home, but also be open to having new experiences and meeting new people, uh, cultivating new relationships, eating new foods, having new experiences, and adapting to situations where you are and not trying to be tied to the old things. Open up, experience, be curious. Also, be comfortable with the unknown because life is constantly changing. And just to be real, there are some things that you're going to resist, but you won't go. So be open to whatever comes at you. So when things do show up and you're like, I don't like that, be a little open. Say, you know what? I'm going to try it anyways. Then if you try it and you still don't like it, now you can say, you know what? I just, that's not for me. But if you're open to new experiences, you'll be able to bridge gaps and also learn things. So that's important. The next thing I would say is remove expectations. Oftentimes we create barriers between learning new things, experiencing new things, and meeting new people because we have all these expectations of what we thought should happen, what we think will happen, or how things should actually be. You are in a new environment, you've never done this before. Be open to the possibilities and don't expect anything so that when things do come, you can receive them well, right? The last thing that I'm going to suggest is that you stay positive because, you know, a lot a lot is being thrown at you living in a new environment and sometimes that can be scary. Sometimes, you're doing things you have no understanding of what's coming at you. Um Sometimes things can be very daunting, it can be very challenging, it can be exhausting, especially if you're in a place where they don't speak the same language and you're constantly having to think. That's a lot of brain power to try to to try to translate back and forth, um, to understand the culture, if there are cultural differences, and you're like, why do you do this? This is not how I would do this, or if you have all of these thoughts about situations, right? The best thing is to stay positive and just know this is a journey. And there are going to be good moments, there are going to be bad moments, but you signed up for this. And if you were not capable, you wouldn't be doing it. So you are very capable of having a great lifestyle and meeting new people and having great experiences where you are. But there are going to be moments where you are going to meet challenges. But remember, challenges stretch you. You are able to learn how great you are through your challenges. And it's an opportunity to see exactly what you're made of. So these are just some of the things that I suggest. Because again, when you're living abroad, not everything is peaches and cream every day. There are moments where you just like, I can't believe I'm experiencing this, or I'm exhausted. I miss home. I wish things were different. But I can assure you that if you find time to actually sit down with yourself and take in the experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, that you will learn something out of those experiences. These are my tips for today. I hope that they help someone. So please drop in the comments some of your experiences living abroad, the ebbs and flows that you may have gone through, the lessons that you learned through the journey of the experience living abroad. And I will comment back. So thank you again. I'm glad I had the opportunity to share some of these tips, and I hope that they help someone. So please like, share, and subscribe if you want to continue to get notifications about things that I'm doing as well as what I'm sharing. I enjoy every moment of being able to share my experience with you all, and I hope that you are gaining something from it. Until next time, it has been real, and I'm Cha Jones. Again, hit that subscribe button. So